Midnite Show. Tonight's music guest, Dave Somerville of the Diamond.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a surprise guest. Tonight it's Dave Somerville, the original founder, one of the co-founders of the Diamonds, and the former lead singer of the Diamonds. We all know who the Diamonds were. They had that wonderful song, Little Darling. And as you know on our show, we only interview songwriters, performers, producers, and great singers like Dave Somerville. Welcome, Dave.
I hope I can live up to that intro.
It's good to see you.
Good to see
As
you.
you know, you and I go way back.
Yes.
Way back to the early days, Movie One. And of course, I was the original publisher at the time and owned that Little Darling. So there, we have some things in common. You know, Dave, it's good to see you. You look terrific, by the way. I just wanted to, you know, and I keep up with you quite a bit, though. I hear that you're still performing.
Still performing. Yes, indeed.
And
time flies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seemed like only a minute ago people were saying to me, "Hey, Dave, you look a lot like Tony Curtis." You know,
Oh,
rip, eh?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
Then some
that.
time passed,
Yeah.
and it was, you know, you and Robert Culp. And but these days, it's, could we have your autograph, please, Mr. Barker? So I say, well, come on down.
Well, I can imagine. Come on down and do it. I mean, after all, Dave, you've been around for quite a while. We can't help but put all these images of you together. You know, I mean, what else can we do? Look at me. We both are gray now. I mean, we've been doing this too long.
When did that happen?
You know, well, probably happened day before yesterday. But you know, continuing interviewing guys like you, I'll always be gray. You know? So anyway, Dave, getting back to reality now. You were originally, if I remember correctly, when you really formed the Diamonds. But weren't you in radio or something back at that time? I mean, I know you're not. You're Canadian by birth.
I'm still a Canadian, actually.
Oh, you're one of the illegals.
By birth, well, I'm not illegal.
Okay.
No, I'm a landed immigrant.
Oh, a landed immigrant. Yeah, I got you. That works. I have
a green card. Yeah. In the fall of 1953, I was a radio engineer at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation in Toronto, operating for shows, you know. And I saw, purely by chance, I met by chance 3 other guys who liked to sing as much as I did. We just saw each other in the hallway and started talking, and a few weeks later I became the lead singer of that group, as yet unnamed. But we had our first performance, a Christmas minstrel show at St. Thomas Aquinas Church, December of 1953.
1953. God, Dave, I was still in high school.
So we rehearsed for about 18 months, and then the 4 of us, you know, feeling footloose and fancy-free, feather-brained young fellows, fretted our father's farthings and wandered far afield in a Ford Fairlane to fuel our fantasies August 1st, 1955, by winning Arthur Godfrey's talent scout.
Oh my God!
We did a month of mornings with Arthur.
Oh my God! Arthur Godfrey. I doubt if anybody even remembers his morning show. Arthur Godfrey.
Toronto.
Yes.
The Diamonds.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we were on with Pat Boone and the McGuire sisters and acts like that. And I remember being in the green room and a kid coming in and wrapping his thumb as an audition, wrapping his thumb over the frets for Arthur and singing a song called "Woman from Liberia." Do you know who that might have been?
No,
Jimmie Rodgers. That was Jimmie Rodgers' audition.
Oh, you're kidding.
He went on to have a nice little career.
You know, I've worked with Jimmy for many years. I didn't even know that. I don't even know that story.
Yeah.
But anyway, so tell me more. So you won the contest, and then after you won the contest, what happened? What song did you sing, by the way?
"Baby, Won't You Please Come Home."
Wow, that was an old classic.
Yeah, great standard. And then we went to working in nightclubs and resorts. We actually worked at the Palace Theater on Broadway in the spring of 1955.
Wow, who was on the show?
Oh, I don't remember, but it was done in the typical, the traditional vaudeville style, where there were 8 acts, and the 7th act was the starring act. but we were not the starring act. We were,
obviously you were
at that time, completely still unknown. But we still worked the Palace.
Wow, that's amazing.
A nice credit.
Did you ever go back and play the Palace later after you became successful?
No.
You've never played it since?
No.
Well, at least you got a credit. I played the Palace.
Are they still there?
Yeah, well, I imagine,
It's not too late,
No,
is it?
no, I don't know. Maybe we should. I don't have to call your agent.
I'm going to be at the Beacon Theater by myself in New York City on September 24th.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's not too far from the Palace. You could walk by there.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, I'm at the Palace again. But anyway, Dave, so after you did all of that and you went into, how the heck did you get a hold of the song? What happened? That you got signed, or what was the story?
About 6 months after our encounter with Arthur Godfrey, we got a job at Herman Pertzner's Alpine Village in Cleveland, Ohio, for 2 weeks, specifically so we could get to meet, hopefully, Dr. Bill Randall, who had discovered Dizzy Gillespie and Elvis Presley and the Everly Brothers.
Famous.
And he actually named the crew cuts and sent them off to Mercury to record. And so we essentially wanted him to do the same thing for us, which is exactly what happened.
Oh.
He sent us off with Frankie Lyman's Why Do Fools Fall in Love under our collective arm. We went off to Chicago, recorded that song, and it became number 12 in the country. And then we just continued to record the songs that Dr. Bill Randall said we should record.
Oh, wow.
And just between one release and the next, one session and the next, we go on the road for weeks at a time, shaking hands with disc jockeys and meeting program directors around it, particularly in the Midwest.
Well, who was the? Was it Mercury you were recording?
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
And who was the producers at that time? I know so many guys that were producers at Mercury.
Our manager Nat Goodman and also the director of music, the head of A&R for Mercury, David Carroll, at that time, and our engineer on all of those things was the famous Bill Putnam.
Oh, very famous.
Partners in a lot of amazing discoveries on the subject of sound through the decades with
There's no question.
with Les Paul.
He was a legend. Yeah, Bill Putnam was a legend. Well, okay, so you did the sessions, you went back out, but you didn't have a hit record then, did you?
Yes, we did. We had 4 hits in a row before Little Darling. They were Why Do Fools Fall in Love, 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 Ka-Ding Dong, and whatever the other one was.
Well, so what happened after you had those 4 or whatever? Did you go back to make an album? Is that how Little Darling actually?
People were saying to us, you're now becoming identified as a cover group. And essentially we were covering groups, but we were uncovering a lot of great music, which was not getting heard on white stations because they wouldn't play black acts. So, of course, a lot of publishers and songwriters were entirely thrilled with what we did with the songs that they wrote and published.
Right.
So we don't necessarily take the rap for that, as we've been hit over the head a few times by some musicologists.
All right. Well, so in a case after you did that, you went back. Did you decide that, or was
We actually had 4 original songs ready to record on the morning of February the 5th, 1957, and but at the last minute, it was decided that we should cover Maurice Williams' recording of Little Darling.
Yes,
the one he did with the Omega solo label.
Yes, that was we had the original one at that time. At that time, I was one of the owners of Excello and of Little Darling then. But that's actually happened. I didn't, truthfully, I didn't know the full background of that. All I knew was I was excited about the fact that you guys came out with it.
Maurice was entirely. Our manager called him at home on the day we learned the song, and he said he'd be thrilled if the Diamonds recorded his song. So. And I think, I know he didn't actually, his recording didn't chart until after ours did. So.
Yes, it did. His came on the Billboard chart under a different title. In those days they had like...
Is that right?
Yeah, they had like blues, race records, blues records. It was a total different category at that time.
But Little Darling, of course, became a phenomenal recording. Biggest recording in the history of the industry to only get to number 2, by the way, and because of Elvis. And because of the song All Shook Up. You know how All Shook Up came to be?
No, I don't, Dave. Well, you can tell me.
Somebody said to Otis Blackwell, I bet you could write a song about anything. And Otis says, yeah, I can. The guy shook up a bottle of Coke and he set it on the table and he said, well, write a song about that. And the next day Elvis came by with a tune called All Shook Up, which became the biggest song of 1957 and kept us out of the #1 spot for 8 consecutive weeks.
I never knew that story.
Yeah.
That's a great story. We've got to put that in. When you write your book, Dave, I guess you're going to have to stick that in.
I'm working on that right now.
Well, you should. You certainly should do that. But I mean, there's so many interesting stories for you. So when you did Little Darling, you went in there, but that was already a planned thing in the session. But did it go smoothly, or did everything work okay?
Well, you know, our session was scheduled from 12 midnight until 4 in the morning. At 3:45, having recorded the 4 original songs that we prepared, everybody forgot about Little Darling, and the producer said, okay, that's it, good night everybody. The drummer left the room. 30 seconds later he said, the song Little Darling this afternoon, we got 15 minutes. If you guys can get a take in the can between now and 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., we won't have to pay the band for an extra hour. You see how these musicians get screwed through the ages?
Wow.
So we relearned the song very quickly. We did one take. It was 3 minutes to 4. We left.
One take?
One take. There were no drums on Little Darling. About 4 days later, we were working at the Glass House on the Chefman Tour Highway in New Orleans. Bill Randall called me and he said, congratulations, you got a hit. And I thought, oh, finally, one of those original songs. He said, no, Little Darling. And I went, oh, you mean that one we did at the end of the, yeah.
Wow, what a story.
What a
story. What a story. I'm sure nobody would even think about that, but I would even dream that such a thing would happen. Anyway, Dave, we're short of time, but I got to tell you, I got to have you back because I know there must be 32 other stories that are in your book, which you haven't written yet.
You beat me to it. I was going to invite myself back.
Well, that's good. We'll accept the invite.
Unless you're right.
Accept the invite. But we got to have you back. I didn't expect to have him here tonight, and it's such a privilege to see him anyway. We go back a long way, and I wish him continued success. But we'll have Dave back, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good night.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do birds sing so gay? And lovers await the break of day. Why do they fall in love? Why does the rain fall from up above? Why do fools fall in love? Why do they fall in love? Little darling, oh, little darling, oh, well, are you my lover? I was wrong now. You could try, you could love to, but no, well, that my lover was just for you.